Well, thank you for joining us today. We will be examining a day in the life of office managers and administrators. I'm Anna Maria Toronto. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Axoff, and I'm joined by Scott Engler. And Scott, my colleague, is the Director of Marketing Operations here at Axoff. We're going to talk about a few innovative ways to improve your processes, get information faster from the field, increase customer satisfaction, as well as eliminate some of the headaches and the clutter that you may be dealing with on a day-to-day and week-to-week basis. If you have any questions, feel free to use the chat feature. We'll address them at the end of our webinar session today. We are recording it, so we will share a link with everyone in the coming days. So with that, just advance it a little bit. So Stephen, who was going to join us, is our channel sales manager. He's happy to do a free customized demo with you after this session. Feel free to hit axoff.com to contact us either by filling out a form, chat feature on our website, or even calling us, and we can set that up quickly with Stephen in the future. So a couple of day-to-day activities and challenges that office managers and office administrators face is, first of all, being bombarded by incoming calls. It's a good thing, right? These are customers, these are prospects, people looking to request your business's services. But at the same time, there's also calls which are coming in from service. There may be some issues with customers' dissatisfaction, billing, and even other departments. And all of that can be time consuming, kind of take you away from, say, the day-to-day in front of the computer and working through the forms and what you're trying to accomplish that particular minute. At the same time as incoming calls, there's the outbound calls. So confirming with your colleagues as to what should be happening in the field, letting them know some updates of something might have changed. Perhaps you work with, a cleaning service company, and now there is a customer which has said, oh gosh, you know what? Someone's here, I need them to do X, Y, and Z. Maybe expand the nature, the scope of the services versus what they had initially requested in the work order. And now you have to make sure that that directive is shared with your colleagues as well as carried out in a timely manner, and that you could bill for it appropriately. You've also got activities and challenges such as paper, Outlook, other inefficient scheduling and documentation purposes. We hear time in and time out from some companies where they say, gosh, we are still using Post-it notes. We are still using a whiteboard in the company break room to communicate what's expected every day and to do the dispatching. And we know that's not the most efficient way to do it, especially in the digital age. And then last, there's the customer concerns and complaints. Sometimes if you're especially based in the office more than in the field, you might not have that perfect data as to what the situation really is in the field and how to address a customer complaint or explain to them what was the before and after so that they understand, okay, the work order, the request, the job has actually been completed and it should meet, if not exceed, customers' satisfactions and expectations. A couple other things, if we look at it from a day-to-day activities, there's a lot of paperwork. There's a lot of paperwork in terms of the billing, the invoicing, the timekeeping. There's paperwork for new hires. There's paperwork for OSHA requirements. And there's just paperwork that perhaps your customers require, as well as the referral partners that you work with. For example, we work with some construction companies, and obviously they have referral relationships with electricians, with drilling companies, with HVAC and plumbing companies, et cetera. And there's documentation that needs to go back and forth, specific forms, specific fields, specific data that needs to be collected, but also inputted and shared in a timely basis. And sometimes that paperwork comes in and it's incomplete, it's inaccurate, or it's just not there too. So that's a challenge for a lot of you who are joining us today, potentially. And then also it's the critical data. So, punching in data into multiple systems, whether you use payroll systems, whether you have some other, third-party applications where sometimes you feel that, gosh, didn't I just enter this information into something else? Why doesn't it just automatically sync? And then last is the communicating with your field techs, communicating with other departments in real time. You can't necessarily pick up the phone and call everyone, right? Because everyone's supposed to be on site, on their job, focused on the matter at hand. But what's a way to, let them know, first of all, if something has changed for the job they're supposed to be doing at the moment, as well as what are the expectations as to where their next job, work order, request should take them to. A couple other things from a weekly standpoint is kind of that overall process and coordination and making sure that things happen so that your employees are paid, right? And also that you're paying the vendors, the suppliers, et cetera, invoices, and managing your office budgets, managing the databases, preparing the reports for owners and executives. So it's, not just collecting the data, but it's analyzing it, it's understanding it, and then making some recommendations based on it. Providing completed forms for OSHA compliance requirements, as well as partner relationships. And then last, maintaining that strong communications on a weekly basis, not just that day-to-day of checking in, checking out, but also, okay, in general, how are things going, and really keeping kind of a temperature check on your colleagues.
Hey, can I jump in there real quick?
Yep.
All right, so this is Stephen Clark. I'm sorry, technical difficulty for that. No problem. But also with just that weekly is you have those things that you really need to accomplish on a weekly basis, and then taking those day-to-day tasks on with everything and just juggling everything. So the overall thing that we really want to drive home is that we understand that you have your pulse on the heartbeat of everything that's going on, more so sometimes than the owner of the company, right? And also taking the temperature of the employees and the customers. So most definitely understanding that takes a huge part of the day-to-day, along with your other weekly tasks that you have as well. So you're just, running full steam ahead with everything. And I'm glad that I'm able to kind of talk to that, because I've actually talked to administrators and office managers about some of those things too as well. And that's the next slide we'll kind of see, is that then all of a sudden you're required to do additional stuff, right? So you have your weekly things that you need to accomplish, you're dealing with your day-to-day, and then all of a sudden you have these additional asks of you from, you're a part of HR, or might even be the head of HR for a particular moment. So now you're onboarding new employees, and also with that new onboarding, now you're also responsible for get them out to work. Maybe they need to be a part of restaffing or working on a new project that's rolling out. And that might be due to, like we experience right now with COVID, and coming out of that COVID period, understaffed. So you're trying to get these people staffed up as much as possible, or you might have some people calling off for some unforeseen absences as well. Along with that, you want to implement, as you're growing the business, you want to implement new procedures from the front office to the back office in communications. Now you actually want to make the company healthy. And when I say healthy, I'm not just talking about from a physical aspect of your employees, but the health of the overall business, and how you do that with different policies and procedures, and kind of pushing that information out to your other internal and external. So your relationships with your other partners, business partners, and subcontractors out there in the business too, as well as getting all that information funneled to the people who work for you on a day in and day out basis. Next slide, please. So we understand that being an office administrator, you have all these other tasks, but you also required to be a very good and efficient office manager or administrator, you have to be very responsible, very well organized. You have to be friendly because you got to deal with the public. Sometimes you're the face of the business. Sometimes you're that calming voice on the other end when you deal with your employees, as well as your maybe sometimes upset customers. You have to get everyone on the same page and let everyone know that there is going to be a positive outcome of everything moving forward. Next slide. So with that being said, one of the things that we really want to drive home and talk about, if I'm an administrator, what is the key things that I'm really going to need to make my life a lot easier and actually help the overall business? The roles of, making everything automated and getting everything from paper and this frantic pace of, paper and time cards and all these other things, forms and proposals and everything. We got to get all that digitized. We got to get everything transformed into a digital environment that, one, we can get rid of this technology obsolescence and bring us up to speed and actually move the business along and be a little bit more proactive, giving our customers a little bit more of a better experience. How we do that is actually streamlining, once again, all of our paperwork, making it clean. It is very neat and very accurate, and moving that forward. But more importantly, whatever we bring in, we want to bring it into our ecosystem, right? A lot of times with utilizing different softwares, you have to kind of break everything you're currently doing and fit in, into their mode. Well, here we want to, look at it like we used to doing things our way. How do we make that, how do we kind of incorporate something to make it a little bit easier for us? So, if it has an open APIs that we can integrate our payroll and all those different things, but now we're able to have a heartbeat a little bit that's on one accord, but also two, being able to see our business as it flows day in and day out. So allowing employees to feel like they're in tune. So if that means rather than driving into the office to clock in, they can actually clock in remotely from their handheld device, whatever that might be, whether it be a tablet or phone. Actually, instead of calling into the office to take payments or writing down, which is still is happening, writing down credit card information on a piece of paper and praying that it gets back to the office, without getting lost. Giving that sense of security to those individuals, your customers, also too, that it's being taken, you get your receipt right away. Also too, having the ability to track and understand your employees, so as they leave one job, they're actually going to another opportunity. So giving them the capability of understanding where they need to go day in and day out, but also that flexibility that they don't necessarily have to keep calling in, where do I go next? What is required of me next? All that's happening real time. So once again, it just really gives the customer a better customer experience, but also too, as an office manager or administrator, we also know that sometimes our employees are our customers as well, and giving them a very sense of, one, being part of the team, and also a comfort level that they're being, actually being valued and their opinions matter. And also, more importantly, they matter. Next slide. So Teamworks kind of does it all. It brings it all into what I just said in the previous slide. It gives you the ability to manage your business, and that overall, the comfort level of looking at your business at a glance. So now all of a sudden you're able to do job dispatching or scheduling your employees as it's needed. So, and also too, you can make sure you have the right person on the job at the right location. So you can do jobs dispatching. You can actually show that you're doing the right thing and actually using that job dispatching along with the wireless forms as a way of training that individual, understanding that with that wireless forms, now you can do cost accounting, making sure Stephen Clark is doing what he needs to do while he's on the job, making sure that I am capturing all my time and understanding like, hey, this is the process I need to be on, understanding each steps of that process. And then also to being able to manage my time. Now, with that, you're kind of tracking the status of it. You can actually see where I at in the middle of that project, and if I need to get redirected or sent somewhere else. Along with that, now you can communicate directly with the overall team, with an individual by using that intra company messaging. You can send out a message directly to me, to the site manager or plant manager, or whoever needs that information. And also, once again, it goes back to having that comfort level. Now we don't have to wait 30, 60, and 90 days to receive payment. We can actually take payment on the spot by a service powered by Stripe. So now we can take that payment right there. The customer gets their receipt, and now all of a sudden it speeds up everything as far as putting money back to the bottom line. Next page, please. And right here, it kind of gives you a very high level of seeing what that looks like on a particular device. It shows you, hey, giving the customers information, they're filling out their job directly on the actual handset and getting all those things requirement. Now, as you also see in that front page, we get the customer signature. So this is proof that the work was done. We can get the customer sign off. We can actually embed pictures on that. You know, if a person is using both hands, they actually has a video, a audio file in there that they can actually embed audio into those forms too as well. So there's a lot of different ways to capture this critical information that we need. Right next to it, you have the timesheets, getting the actual time that he or she was on that job and proving it that they were there, because it's actually just not capturing the time, it's actually geo-stamping the location where they are. So I can't be at Starbucks or, you know, McDonald's having lunch. It's actually going to show to you in the back office where Stephen Clark is at any given time. The next portion, that the core features, is actually letting you know how powerful this tool is that you're utilizing today to actually see your business, from having, you know, mobile payment in there, as well as the forms, the timekeeping, the dispatching, and as it goes. And now I'm a new guy started on the company. I tap on that GPS or tapping on my new job. The next thing over is the job dispatching is showing Stephen Clark where he needs to go, what job is up next, and how I do that job. And thirdly, it's the history. The history goes over to the GPS tracking, allowing you to actually see where I've been on my job throughout the day, and also having a comfort level that I'm taking the right route to get there. But if I'm new to the job, new to the area, I can actually just click on that address, and this is going to take me turn by turn without ever leaving the app. So everything that your workers need is right there. So now when they leave the office or leave home, they have a sense of confidence that everything I need is right here on my hand, and I can fulfill my day. Next slide. Okay. This right here is a case study. What this was really for, the office manager really wanted to empower her people in the back office, right? There was so much stuff being thrown at them at so many given time. They're waiting for the technicians, the employees to either drop off time cards, send in materials for different job sites and everything like that. And it was just all crazy. Things were just coming, and it was all out of order. Some of the stuff was not not correct, so they had to call back, ask the particular technician what was going on. Did you punch in, did you punch out, what was this job, everything like that. Of course, us being human, sometimes, if you have a lot of different things going on, we tend to mix and match. Well, what Teamworks did for them was actually streamline everything became very simplistic, especially for people in the back office. They were able to see, as the jobs were being done and performed, when Stephen Clark punched in at a particular job site, how long I was there at that job site, and what was being done while I was there. Along with that, they were able to integrate the system into their payroll. So now all of a sudden, now there's no double entry or, typing different things in repetitively over and over again. All that information just flowed directly from Teamworks directly into their system, and they were able to track that, along with being able to understand the different locations of those employees as well. So it just made their life that much easier. Next slide. This case study just basically, it kind of reiterates, it drove home the point of there was so much going on, trying to capture that data, and it was getting lost. So instead of writing this down or calling the technician and the different people, getting all that information, everything now, all that was eliminated and it was streamlined. So they were just plugged in the information as needed, a couple of drop downs. Well, now one of the great things was they were able to do, control the inventory as well. By utilizing this, was able to actually take a picture of their barcode or QR code, and now all of a sudden they were able to track their inventory utilizing Teamworks that was integrated with their inventory tracking system. So now everything made more sense. It eliminated, closely eliminated almost all the paperwork, and give them a one place to do everything. So this really helped them streamline their business, but more importantly, keep everyone happy and on task doing the same thing. And they gave them the ability to actually go out and get more business, because now instead of them trying to herd all this paper, they were able to take everything, that time that they were using doing that, and actually going out and promoting the business even more. Next slide. So said all the great things, but here's some value add with our service. We give you a concierge level service along. I really like calling the white glove treatment, right? So we come in, we help you as a customer, and as what we like to look at as a long-term relationship. So what we do is, however you see the software working for you, we actually help you customize the solution based upon your need. So if that means you have software that you're currently using right now, like QuickBooks, ADP, SAP, we help you integrate that software into, or we actually integrate our software into your environment. So we integrate into your ecosystem. That right there alone, as you see on the screen, is a savings of $18,000 annually. We actually do, when I'm saying we actually do, I mean we actually do the onboarding. So we're actually working with you to get you up to speed and utilizing the software, and personalizing that around you. When your customers are looking at the software, or you're sending out the invoicing and everything, is coming directly from your company. It looks like and feel like it's yours. And the reason being is we're working with you to make sure it feels like it is yours. So with that being said, you're getting that ongoing training, nonstop. If we need to do training, as it says right here, after hours, weekend support, that is available to you. We don't charge for that. And then you see that's an additional value of savings of $12,000. But now here's where we separate ourselves even more. We actually get into the point of, we run monthly reports. We try to analyze how you're utilizing the service. If there's different ways that you can get, or more value, you can even get more out of the service. So we do that on a monthly, sometimes on a weekly or quarterly basis, however you see fit, to make sure that you're getting the most out of utilizing Teamworks. Then we drill that down even further. Then we come back and we actually do a retraining or a remassaging of the knowledge. Sometimes that's done because you now, hopefully, we freed up some time that you can bring more people aboard. And if we need to retrain other people, or sometimes retrain the trainer, we have that time available to actually do that. So this really opens the door how you utilize Teamworks, and better yet, how Teamworks can be used for you. Next slide.
I'm happy to talk about a promotional offer that we currently have, because we are very confident that you will realize the impact of using Teamworks immediately. We're running a free 14-day trial offer of our all-in-one digital platform. So learn more about it at the URL that you see here. During this trial period, we're, of course, as Stephen pointed out, we're here to make this not just as seamless as possible, but also a successful experience for you and your colleagues as well. so that you could hit the ground running, especially as we tie up this year and we kick off strong 2023. So we've got a couple of questions for Stephen. First, I want to ask Stephen about a particular company, I believe it was a healthcare company, Stephen, that you said really saw the opportunity for Teamworks in terms of helping them streamline their processes. Can you tell us a little bit more about their situation, what they were able to realize as a result of using the platform?
Yes, of course. The actual name of the company is called Angel Bright Healthcare, is out of Mercedes, Texas. What they were doing before was actually sending home health aides as state tested nursing assistants, as well as nurses out to the different homes. They were actually supposed to do anywhere between 4 to 6 patients per day. And a lot of times that might be just helping them out with meds or doing little chores around the house. The nurses would come in and do the vital signs, make sure they're, staying on their regiment, and then go on to the next. Well, what they were really telling the owner of the business, along with the nurse practitioner, was that they couldn't do it. It was not enough time. So instead of seeing those patients, they would maybe knock off between 1 or 2, so they will only see 3 or 4 patients for the day, and then they would just go home. And there was no way of record actually showing that, one, that they did what they said they were going to do, and the other part is are they really utilizing from 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock? Are they really on task doing things? So they just wanted to try out the solution and see if it worked. They actually took 2. Oh, I take that back. They took out 3 of their STNAs and 1 nurse and actually see if the service will really work for them. What they found out after utilizing the service is that it helped them get a better understanding of what they were doing on the job, because there was an actual form basically saying throughout the day what they were doing. And how they utilized that form was, it was a way how they got paid from Medicare and Medicaid. So each service that they did, they checked off for that particular patient. That was a dollar amount that he or she brought in for the business. So by them doing that, they actually were able to see and get visibility of what they were doing and how long it took them to do these tasks. So all of a sudden now, the aide and the nurses start seeing that they had a responsibility, and there was a checks and balances put in place. So now it was so funny, because they were saying they can only do 3 to 4. Well, after utilizing the service for about 2 weeks, they were actually able to add an additional customer. So now, instead of doing that 3 to 4, they were able to do up to 5 to almost 6 6 patients, to the point where one of their top STNAs came in and actually said, "Hey, you guys, I'm doing too much work. I'm going to quit." Now, keep in mind, the person started work at 8 o'clock. They were supposed to be scheduled to 4 o'clock. She was actually finished with her job at 3:30. So she actually was working. Well, I would really say she was working smarter rather than harder, did more patients, and actually still got off before time she was supposed to be scheduled to 4. So I thought that was a great use of the software. It showed, it showed the company, for a couple of different reasons, what could be done. They also used it for security. If you know anything about Mercedes, Texas, it could get kind of rough in certain areas. So this is a way of actually utilizing it for security as well as performance.
Great. Thank you, Stephen, for highlighting that particular use case. Another question that we have is that, to get started, obviously there's everything the platform can do, but what would you say are the most important aspects of an office manager or administrator's daily workflows that they should really focus on first, or initially transforming from a digital perspective?
I guess getting organized, getting everything organized and how you want the actual job to flow. And that's really, I guess that's easier said than done, right? Because we all know that we have a particular, when we get to work, we have our particular routine. One of the things that we want to do is not break that routine, but actually enhance what you're currently doing. So we were asked, to bring all of what you're currently doing right now, along with your different ideas and how you see the software best working for you. You'll be actually teamed up with what we call a customer satisfaction person. That person is dedicated to knowing your business inward and outward. And we sit down together and we work out everything together. So it's going to be open lines of communication back and forth. Sometimes you're going to like, this is how we, been doing things for years and everything like that. And then all of a sudden working with that person might come up with an idea and say, hey, that's great. Have you ever thought about this? And it might be something that you never thought about, but it makes a lot of sense. And also working with that individual to help you bring more clarity of how things could be streamlined to move you in the right direction.
And Stephen, in working with the accounts that you have, the customers, there are some common applications that they're using in addition to Teamworks. What are some of those that Teamworks integrates with that through the course of, the relationship, you're able to uncover and let them know, yeah, there's an easier way to do things without, duplicative entry, for example?
Yeah. So, QuickBooks Online is one. Dropbox, we work with ADP, Kronos, Salesforce, Dynamics, Google Calendar, OneDrive, SAP. I mean, there's so many out there. And the great thing about that too is that, going through a demo, there is a marketplace directly in the software that actually allows you to look at additional softwares that we have currently working with and can actually integrate with as long as they have an open API.
Perfect. And before we wrap up, Stephen, is there anything else that you'd like to share with the audience today in terms of your experiences and also what you're hearing customers say about the impact of using Teamworks?
Yes. So what I've learned, with utilizing the software, a couple of different things is that one, it just frees up so much time and it streamlines the process, from like I was said earlier, with working with a company that did healthcare and also construction. There's so many different applications. I also working with a healthcare company internally. So it's pretty much like an urgent care facility. They're utilizing the software to capture information. So when a new customer or a new patient comes in, they fill everything out on a tablet. And as they're filling out everything on the tablet, they actually take a picture of themselves so it can match up with their physical photo ID and also their signature directly on that tablet. And everything is actually stored for the customer. And so it's taken from the tablet and stored in their EMR system. So it's actually they're utilizing Teamworks and pushing all that information from a paper standpoint directly into their a electronic medical record. I'm sorry for using the terminology EMR, but it pushing it directly into that already. So there's that no more of that process of actually, hey, can I see your insurance card? And then they take a scan of it. No, all that now is being done directly from you coming in the door and it's in your hands. So you feel comfortable and it's not relinquished to someone else. All that now is being streamlined directly from that tablet. You inputting that information directly into the EMR. So basically, that contactless environment we're in, they're actually doing it. The only thing they do is just wipe off the tablet and hand it to the next patient coming in.
Great. Thank you, Stephen. And before we wrap up, I do want to open it up to the audience. Bill, Jonathan, is there anything else that you would like to hear more about today or any questions you have at this point? Okay, well, we'll wrap up today. I do want to thank Stephen Clark for being such a gracious presenter. It was a pleasure listening to you, sharing your insights and experiences in working with our customers and helping people better understand what Teamworks can do for their role as well as for their companies going forward. It's a critical time of the year for all businesses, and we're here to partner with you, work with you, really help you accomplish your goals at the end of this year, as well as start strong for 2023. Thanks again for your interest and your time today. Take care.